Welcome to Youth for Western Civilization. I'm Trevor Williams, the president of Vanderbilt's YWC, and we are America's right-wing youth movement. Our group is dedicated to defending Western culture and civilization from forces seeking to dismantle this precious entity. We will create institutions and join existing ones in order to reorient our country back to a Western way of life. Some of Western civilization's most valued principles are under direct attack. The First and Second Amendment are two examples that are under grave threat from leftist lunacy. Men such as Geert Wilders are banned from a whole country, England, for simply making a movie displaying the reality of Islamic hostility towards the West. The Democratic Party will soon attempt to pass laws that illegally circumvent one of the most important foundations of the West, the right to bear arms. An amendment that was meant to ensure that the government feared its populace, and not the other way around. In the coming weeks, Youth for Western Civilization will address these issues by showing Geert Wilders' movie, Fitna, and by attending the Knob Creek Machine Gun Show. We are hoping that interested parties will join us. But tonight, we are hosting a speaker on illegal immigration, mass immigration, and multiculturalism. Three things that YWC recognize as existential threats to the continuance of our liberties and way of life. No one is more qualified to speak on these issues than the woman we are hosting tonight, Bay Buchanan. Ms. Buchanan served as Treasurer of the United States during Ronald Reagan's 2 terms in office and has worked in top-level positions for various political campaigns, including those of her brother, Pat Buchanan, and also Tom Tancredo and Mitt Romney. Currently, Bay is an analyst for CNN and the president of the American Cause, an educational foundation dedicated to traditional American values. Bay Buchanan's political experience and dedication to her principles are unparalleled. Vanderbilt's Youth for Western Civilization chapter could not ask for a better individual to be our chapter's first speaker. And now to speak to us on the state of our nation, please welcome Bay Buchanan.
Thanks very much. I thoroughly enjoy being on a college campus. I do it often. I want you to know that I welcome questions that you might have that are related to the topic or unrelated. And I hope to give you plenty of time for those questions. I've been asked to talk about the issue of immigration, about political patriotic assimilation, the problem the country faces today. And I'd like to open by just pointing out that those of us who are out publicly speaking about these issues do so for one reason, because we fear we're losing our nation. We think it's that serious. I traveled this country 3 years ago as I went from state to state, town hall meetings, welcomed anybody in the community to come, did radio and TV on the specific issue of illegal immigration and what it's causing, the troubles, the problems that it is causing the people in this country. And as I did so, I recognized immediately, this issue is an American issue. It's not a Republican or conservative or independent. It's not a black issue or a white issue or a Hispanic issue. It is all Americans all across the country are outraged. Outraged that Washington has failed to do their job. Outraged that Washington does not even hear or listen to the people anymore. That they would allow things to go on in this country which are really basically against the very principles upon which the nation was founded or born. One being fairness, the issue of fairness. Another being the issue of laws, that they be applied and enforced equally and fairly across the board. And so let's talk first a little bit about why this is a problem. You know, people will say America, and rightfully so, is a land of immigrants. We are. No one can argue this. But you know, it is not unusual for us to say, time out, time to assimilate the millions that are here, make certain that they get into the idea that this is a great nation in which they need to belong, to be part of, to identify with. And that is the assimilation that is essential. Immigration is good as long as it's a melting pot. And we've been a great nation because we've brought millions of people here, have come on their own and been welcomed, and then they've been put through the melting pot. And so they end up becoming as dedicated and committed Americans as anybody that might be born here. So, if not more so in many cases. And so in 1924, we had basically we stopped immigration. We had virtually no immigration from 24 to 65, almost a little over 40 years, from Coolidge right past JFK into LBJ's. We had no immigration, and nobody said, well, that's un-American, not to have immigration. No, it was a time when we took the children of 15 million immigrants who had come over from Europe over the years, and there was a huge amount of immigration in the between the 1900 and up to 1920. And so it was a time when we assimilated them. And the melting pot worked, and all was terrific. No complaints from anyone. So what's happened? Let me point out a little bit of why the assimilation is so important. A nation is, depending on who you talk to, that's been defined as a number of different things. But it's a band of brethren, according to John Jay, one of our founding fathers. The idea of brethren, of brothers, and a family, it's an extended family is another way to say it. It is a body of people who are together, bounded by love of nation, by loyalty to it. And the way that occurs is that you have something in common, many things in common that bind you, that tie you. I often talk about my own family, and it's no different in any of your families. When I went to college, I thought I had the greatest family imaginable. Why? Because it was, I have 7 brothers, I have a sister. Was our family perfect? I learned later, far from it. But we didn't stress the problems. We didn't stress those things that were bad. My father made a point of talking about the great things that occurred. I was I'm much younger. I'm on the tail end of the 9 kids. And I remember thinking as I grew up that my brothers must have been the greatest athletes ever. And I got to tell you, they weren't. But they didn't play college ball. They certainly weren't that level. But I just thought they were incredible because Dad used to tell story after story about coming home. He coached a lot. You won't believe the pass he made. Or this son caught this ball. You won't believe it. And we'd tell it again and again. Years. I just assumed they were terrific. He always built them up. I have uncles, my mother's brothers. 4 of them went and served in World War II over in different parts of Europe. You would think, I taught my kids that our uncles were heroes. And they were American heroes. One of them in particular had a Silver Star, and a remarkable story. But basically, they were just like all other Americans. They joined and fought in a war. They signed up, volunteered, and went to defend their country. And to my father, that was wonderful. And he made them great men in my eyes. And so I loved my family. Did we have problems? Lots of them. But we never took problems outside. We resolved them inside. Outside, we defended, we stood by, we supported our brothers and sisters. That's how we were raised to do. And that's the same as a nation. We're a family. So we have to speak the same language so we can communicate. We have to have that love of our heroes that my father instilled in me. And we have a great heritage in this country. And people who come have to take on that heritage as their own and be proud as I am of it. Our literature, our culture, our land, it is the loyalty to this nation is having and sharing this great love of who we are as a people, as Americans. And that's the assimilation that is really demanded. And if you don't have it, you lose your nation. You lose the nation. This isn't, well, who cares? They won't, we just all do it a little bit different. No. What we're talking about here is whether our nation, as we know it, stands. Okay? And so there are those of us who say, wait a minute. Immigration is completely uncontrolled. It's massive, it's huge numbers, it's not controlled in any way, and there is no effort whatsoever at assimilation. We just keep bringing more in and more in. When is the time out here? Time out to start making certain that those here really learn to appreciate and love what it is that makes us American.